Welcome to this edition 108 Astonishing News. This is a special edition for three major information I want to share with you about this system, the Sol star system. We are going to explore today three major locations with three major surprises. Are you ready? Have you fastened your seatbelts? I know you have. So now we are ready. All set. Energize and engage. Do you remember, since 2023, I have been telling you about the Jupiter hub, a hub that is in construction with the help of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the Intergalactic Confederation, especially the Altians, who have provided a main core central mothership to be the start of this hub that will be a commercial and diplomatic hub. This is a new project that has been decided in coordination with the Earth Alliance to provide a space that will allow bigger grounds for meetings, as it usually used to happen in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter, in the Galactic Command, and also on the facilities of Ganymede, moon of Jupiter. The hub has been expanding since 2023, adding modules to its shape. First, it was an Altian ship with around it structures being built and bridges to other new modules around it, and a stem developing afterward in a second time. Well, on my travels to the Nibiru mothership in the orbit of Jupiter, I have had the opportunity several times to be able to witness the construction of this hub. And this hub is expanding, and I had the opportunity to check it on March 16 again, because something happened in the news and I wanted to double check something, and I can tell you that the hub had 5 modules stemming from the central one, 3 underneath, attached to the stem, and it's going to grow more as people come by the Jupiter vortex. Diplomatic meetings are conducted, galactic, intergalactic, and solar system commerce and trade is expanding at the benefit of the inhabitants of this star system. We have reached a shift since the liberation of this star system in 2021. We have reached a point where now the Earth Alliance is able to welcome new visitors into this star system. We are slowly shifting, while on Earth, the cleansing operated by the human institutions of the dark players is being full on at the moment. This operation is full on. But I want to talk to you more particularly about what has happened in the news regarding the Jupiter hub. An amateur astronomer on the Canary 4 telescope that was pointing at Jupiter on March 14, 2026, got a surprising image. An unusual object right near the planet Jupiter that did not look like a typical satellite. And it was confirmed that it is not an image artifact, but a real object that is present in each frame. His first thought was that it was simply one of the Jupiter's moons, the Galilean satellites. But the more he analyzes the data, the more it became clear that it was not a moon of Jupiter. While a satellite moon shows the usual pixel colors typical for the planet, sand, beige, green and gray, the unknown object displays almost the full rainbow, from pink and red to blue and green with yellow. By brightness, the unknown object is more than 2 times weaker than any moon satellites. He measured the other satellites as well. They are around 4,000 photons per pixel. The shape of the light distribution is also different. Jupiter satellites have a spherical form, while the unknown object look like a bulb or a mushroom with different elements and type of a stem. So the astronomer concludes after analyzing the data. The unknown object near Jupiter, captured on March 14, 2026 at 20:30 UTC, does not match the criteria of known objects, such as a reference star. No stars are present at these coordinates or nearby according to star catalogs, and an 8 millisecond exposure is not sufficient to capture faint background stars. A Jupiter moon. The brightness profile and the shape do not match those of Jupiter satellites. An asteroid. It would have to be unusually large to produce such a light profile with an exposure of only 8 milliseconds, while most asteroids are relatively small objects. An unknown comet. While the brightness and shape might be partly fitting, no coma or tail is visible. So here is the corroborating evidence, 32 on the list. I have been providing information always before NASA or telescopes or space agency from different countries announce it publicly. Quakes on Mars. Planets number around Alpha Centauri, heating up of the poles of Neptune, underground on Venus, and now the hub, and many more. So I invite you to check this link. And now, are you ready for something incredible? I am taking you to Mars. What is at the moment disclosed about the landings on Mars and the project of settling colonies there with SpaceX notably? It is a cover that hides a lot of more secret projects behind. There are already colonies on Mars. If you have been following my information, you know already that not only human colonies are there, but also Alpha Centaurians, a presence of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and a terraforming is going on. I had announced that Mars had different colors. It's not the red planet as we are shown by NASA. The terraforming has already brought greens and blues and vast areas of vegetations. Mars has an atmosphere. I had the opportunity to experience it myself, but I want to bring your attention on a secret video that I was sent. Thank you for the person who shared this with me. The conquest of the star system by humans of Earth is much more early than you think. Assisted and aided by the Sika reptilian empire, the Fourth Reich Nazis, who established a base in Antarctica and created with these reptilians and the Alliance of the Six the Dark Fleet. already had access to exotechnology. And in 1942 we have records of Nazis landing on the moon, also on Mars shortly after. That's how Ares Prime, the infamous station on Mars, was created. The video I received is an original video shooting live, that was live, recorded live at the time, from a landing on Mars of a Russian-American team in 1962. Yes, this video was apparently broadcasted on the British TV program Science Report in 1977. Straight after, the TV program had to deny it and present it as a hoax. They certainly received threats, but it was out there. The video features a landing on Mars, dated July 22nd, 1962, by US and Russian crew. This video, we have it because it was intercepted by British radio astronomer Sir William Ballantyne, who paid it with his life. He died shortly, very shortly after, of an accident. Ladies and gentlemen, Earthlings, here it is.
Back there. Hans, can you hear me? TV. We're getting a good picture here and can make a fair amount of detail. How is it with you? Fine, you, Houston, Roger. That might have scanned. Camera scanning. Look at this, lazy stuff. Okay, and one scanning. Stand by, move off. Standing by. Roger, standing by. Hey, there's one lower that. Can you verify that chart down? Roger, who's Louis Solet? God, the guy's way really different. Stand by for meetings, Costa. Standing by, chart down. Temperatura 4 graus Celsius. Wind speed 21 kilometers per hour from southwest. Score is 20 kilometers chance. Atmosphere pressure 707.7 millibars. Atmosphere is higher. It's good. It's good, great. Stand by for landing, now. Stand by. We're dealing with this degree. Hallelujah. We're together. Wasn't easy. My God, what is that? Something moving. Something moved there. Boy, the take the rest of this thing is going to be the biggest day in history. 22nd May, 1962. We're on the planet Mars, and we have life.
This creature that we see at the end, it may be just some earthquake produced by the landing of the ship, of soil collapsing, which is very possible, but it looks more like a creature myself and people who have been in the secret space program on Mars know as the burrowers. The burrowers are worms, huge worms that are under the surface of Mars. They are intelligent creatures, they are indigenous, and they inspired the sandworms in the movie Dune. In 1977, So this video was broadcasted in this program on British TV. Let us, just for a minute, dwell on the date. 1977, this video comes out. What happens also in 1977? We need to really go back to this year and realize that there was a massive attempt of disclosure that was, of course, aborted by the dark forces. What happened in 1977? 1977, the Ashtar Galactic Command hacks the UK TV channel. Everybody remembers Vrillon. In 1977, Wernher von Braun dies. Was it something that allowed disclosure to be more free and released? 1977, the wow signal is received by the Ohio Big Ear Telescope. It was a 72 seconds narrowband radio pulse from the area of Sagittarius in the galaxy, the center of the galaxy. 1977, launch of the Voyager 2 probe. The movie industry also was on steroid to disclose the Lyran War and Exodus to notably Earth, with the movie Battlestar Galactica, created with the US Naval Intelligence assistance with Leslie Stevens, General Leslie Stevens, who also wrote about Star Trek and worked closely with Gene Roddenberry. The same year, we also have Close Encounter of the Third Kind. And, nonetheless, Star Wars. 1977 was a huge attempt of disclosure. Will 2027 see a successful attempt of disclosure? You better fasten your seatbelt, because you never know. An extraordinary being who has been visiting us since the mid of the year 2025, he is now leaving our star system. This extraordinary interstellar explorer is none other than 3I Atlas, a being I have described as a plasmic consciousness, older than this star system, even older than this galaxy, originating from other galaxies. These beings are consciousness that travel and record data about civilization, about life, about all that is to know in this universe. It is for their own growth, their own knowledge. They are traveling cosmic libraries. And when they enter a star system, they respect the laws of evolution. They do not interfere. They do not create contact. They receive contact. They record contacts, but they do not give any information that could change the course of evolution of a culture, a world, a civilization. The Interstellar Explorer, as the star people called them, are plasmic consciousnesses living in space without biological bodies, in the heart, near the heart of the galaxies, because they feed off the gravity wave, the pump waves coming from the vortex of a galaxy, and they live around in zones around galactic centers, and they, with membranes and dendril, they suck up the field, gravity, energy, and they live there in communities, interlinked with each other with all these dendrils and these filaments. It is beautiful, very beautiful. But there's a side of them I just discovered a few days ago. Let us go back to August 9, when Thor Han showed me by communication how 3i Atlas looks like. He was just entering the star system. It was a big buzz on the internet. Everybody who wanted attention needed to know something about 3i Atlas, of course, and the most crazy ideas have been out there. Ships filled with reptilians, activating arcs. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. If something was activated by 3i Atlas, I think it's the human potential to make up stuff to grab attention. Incredible. This being is only a wise, ancient elder who is in the form of a living consciousness entangled in plasma. Plasma is a polarized gas that has an electrical charge, so then a pulse, so that it can entangle consciousness. Thor Han on August 9 showed it to me as an oblong stone vessel with a holographic haze that was a screen. Of course, they do. Coming visiting our star system. On October 3rd, 2025, a few months later, Princia invited me to go and meet 3i Atlas. So we went to Mars, picking up our friend Thor Han, because 3i Atlas was at the time near Mars, passing by one. When I say passing by, it was quite far. On the golden shuttle of Princia, we went to meet 3i Atlas. We hovered on the top of it and we made contact. Well, Thor Han especially made contact with him and had a formidable experience. He was beamed inside and out. But it was not his physical body who was beamed, it was his consciousness. And he saw it. He saw the hollow ship. There was no biological life, no creatures in it. And this central, he said, module that described like something looking organic, but that wasn't, and with a pulsing orangey pink light. That was the being. Much information Thor Han shared with us, and I wrote a long article as well as this tonight's adventure on the webpage that you can find at this link. On October 27, I could connect, as I was invited everybody to do so, with 3i Atlas, who was refueling behind the sun. This being, of course, feed off the gravitational fields of stars, but also he was refueling with plasma from the star Sol. I had formidable, beautiful interaction with him through consciousness entanglement, because he remembered me from that visit on October 3rd. I could see where he lived, where he was originating, not in this galaxy. He comes from another distant galaxy, and I could see the field around the center of this galaxy with all the others like him, like giant plasmic jellyfishes with tendrils just interweaving each other, like an incredible network of plasmic floating creatures. This was, oh my goodness, it was absolutely magnificent. On the following day, on October 28, Ia also offered to me to go and see 3A Atlas, the Interstellar Explorer, refueling behind the sun, which we did in the Golden Shuttle. And I could see it bright and glowing and pulsing with charging and filaments, his tendrils extending from the object to the sun quite far, but it was there. Incredibly, all the distance of this kind of a plasmic tentacle, it was incredible. Magnificent. So this was there, my experience with 3I Atlas, until I had a last contact, because he's on his way out, our star system now, towards other star systems, other galaxies, other dimensions even. On March 16, the Interstellar Explorer was near to Jupiter, 53 million kilometers from Jupiter. He had told me, let's go. He had promised me this for a long time. I was brought to the Nibiru ship in the orbit of Jupiter, where Ia welcomed me and brought me to the landing bay, where people from the Federation were waiting for us to be on the trip as well. Thor Han was there with his brother Jen Han, Admiral Jor-El from the XR-6 battle station in orbit of Earth, and, as I had personally requested, our friend Seladion. I wanted to offer to him this adventure. Admiral Jor-El was representing the Federation in the star system, so he was delighted to be here. We went into the shuttle and we took seat. Ia in the central chair, the command chair. He invited Jor-El to sit in the second command chair and me in the third, and the other guys were behind us in the row of chairs. I said to Jor-El, who had never ever traveled in a Nanach shuttle, I said to him, lift your arms. He went, what? What? I said, lift your arms. I said, you better do it. And he went, okay. He lifted his arms and the 3 triple belts, safety belt, went from behind the chair. Boom, boom, boom. And he went, wow. He said, seatbelts. And I said, yes. Jor-El never was in a spaceship with seatbelts because the Federation only uses spaceship with stabilizers. So you have anti-gravitic stabilizers where the habitacle of the ship is insulated from the outside, so the ship can go like this, the habitacle stays like this and doesn't feel any movement, any speed, nothing. But it's not the same in an Nanach shuttle. You don't feel the speed, but you feel the movement. And that was something new for Jor-El. And also Seladion, believe it or not, he has been pilot on many different ships, but not on this one. Ia was in connection with the pads on the spine of the chair, with his spine, and the circlet of navigation that came from behind the chair and locked in the front, and there was this gem that lit up. That's for the navigation, and the others are the interface, the DNA interface. It's his shuttle, his Imperial shuttle, and only him can drive it. I wanted to have a look at the hub because just came up this article from the Grand Canary telescope. So I wanted to double check, and effectively there were 5 modules on the top and others building at the bottom that you can see on the photo of the telescope behind. After a flyby the hub, we passed Jupiter, and it's always something incredible. The magnetic field of Jupiter is something that marks your own energetic field or your own magnetic field forever. It is roaring with power. It is actually roaring. You can hear it in your head when you pass by. It is incredible. And here it was. We saw 3i Atlas as we approached. We passed Jupiter and we continued space to the extended orbit. We saw this little white light, and we approached, and the white light was more of a haze, and then it was an oblong, hazy shape. You know, it is showing to Earth the front of it, so sometimes you can see it round, sometimes teardrops, sometimes long. People don't understand anything. It's because it moves. It's a cylinder. The outside is a bit rough carved, but it's a cylinder. As we approached, Ia switched off the commands of the ship. He deactivated his chair. The circlet went back. And the seatbelts deactivated as well. I said, yeah, what's going on? He said, from now on, the Interstellar Explorer is taking over the shuttle, bringing it to him. Wow, what a trust you have in these moments, because you're out in space. Outside the walls, it's death. So you're just like, okay, we trust. Of course we trust the Interstellar Explorer. Of course we trust him. There was no doubt about it. And I heard a voice just standing behind me. It was Seladion, who had left his chair and was like, wow, it's incredible. He was just exclaiming, and I said, Sel, go back to your chair. We're not yet there. And even Ia said to him, go back and sit, young man. And Seladion, oh, it's fine. And he was talking to me, and I was like, and of course, Seladion said, oh, I wanted to see it up close. It's great to see it so up close. And Ia said to him, you will see it more up close than you believe, my child. And Seladion is not used to Ia calling every human my child, you know. So he was like, okay. And at that moment, the shuttle arrived on the top of it and landed. And the shock, it was a shock. The whole ship was shaken. And of course, Seladion fell on the ground, rolled, grabbed Ia's chair and couldn't grab it more, and just rolled on the floor. And I was like, then we were locked on 3i Atlas. Wow. Ia left his seat, invited us to do the same. He left Seladion getting back on his feet by himself. And even Jen Han was in his seat, was saying to Seladion, hey, don't be so silly. You know, Jen Han is very serious. We were brought by Ia to a room that was circular in the ship. And on the walls of this room there were spacesuits in the colors of the Anar Empire, green and gold. It was more of a metallic shimmery green with gold hues. We were invited to wear them. Seladian, of course, had come with his white Federation spacesuit. So he activated just had to activate his helmet. And we were putting on this other spacesuit that were fit for Anahim taller, but when you put them on, it just fits your body. It interacts with your nervous system, blood flow, heartbeat. It is not the usual spacesuits you could, imagine Earth cosmonauts would wear. This is artificial intelligence. This is advanced technology. I made sure everyone had locked very well and fitted very well, suits and helmets. I looked at Seladion in his white environmental spacesuit, and he said to me, "Yeah, I'm always the odd one." We could communicate with radios in our helmets that were all connected. So asked us to step back against the walls, and he hovered his hand above the ground, and suddenly the pressure of the whole room dropped, and we lifted on our feet. Ooh, it was like So I went, zero gravity. I don't like zero gravity. I had tried already zero gravity with Thor Han on the XLR6, but just for fun, you can do a lot of fun things in zero gravity. And I asked him to stop straight away because I was feeling really dizzy and uncomfortable. But now it was for real and serious business. I'm not trained in zero gravity, so that was a big challenge. He extended his hand again on the center of the room, and a ring of light appeared, and then an airlock opened with a shaft into 3i Atlas. He invited Admiral Jor-El to come first. There was a metallic ladder, so Jor-El just floated to it and just went down, helping himself with the ladder to go down. And he said, it was my turn. Oh my goodness. So Thor Han helped me to go to the edge of it and pushed me slightly with the shoulder, and I could grab the top of the well. And I had to tell you, I have vertigo, okay? But in zero gravity, because you're floating, this is weird because you don't have the same feel of the distance, the depth. So you don't really have vertigo because you're not falling anywhere. You have this insurance to be just floating where you are. So the vertigo wasn't there. It was really interesting. I understand now, astronauts who float in space above Earth don't feel that because they float. It's a sensation, and the body response probably tells the brain, you're safe, you're not going to fall. You're not falling, see? So I floated down the well. It was dark in there. Not really dark, but like twilight, dim lights. And suddenly my hand left the railing, and I panicked, and I was like, whoa, and Jor-El behind me just caught me by the arm, and it's okay, and I could stand a bit straight, and Jor-El pulled me back at his height, standing behind him, and he said, okay, you're fine now. You're fine. And then, the rest of the team came down. Thor Han, Jen Han, Seladion and Ia at the end. And here we were in the large, huge, endless corridor. There were structures around, but we couldn't see them because the light was dim. So we advanced. Ia passed in front with Jen Han. Jen Han recognizes the premises. He was there in consciousness a few months ago. Joel taught me how to progress in zero gravity with my feet. Because normally you grab stuff and you go like this. He said, but you can't hear. So you're going to bend forward the weight of your body and give little scrape with your feet, like hop, 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 not bouncing like this, but just like this. And he said, I'm above you and I'm making sure you're not lifting up and down. Okay, but it was really hard, because I couldn't control the speed. It was like, and I had to wait that the next foot hits the floor to do the thing. Nightmare, and I was starting to get nauseous. So suddenly male arm, Thor Han grabbed me and he said, it's okay, let's go. So Thor Han did the work of moving forward and I was just letting myself float at his arm. That was better. Seladion, of course, was at the back. As usual, if you have read Koldas, you know what he does. He touches everything. And he was trying to touch and probe everything that was sticking out the walls. It was very large, so he was going away and the other. It was like a glassy material. It was dark but glassy. It wasn't as bright as Jen Han described it to us, but maybe it lights up at one point. And I said to Seladion, as I said, stop touching everything. He said, no, it's fine. I said, I think it's a living being. And we are inside of a living being. And Seladion said, no, it's stone. Look, it's stone. And at that moment, a vibration went from the end of the tunnel to like, and we were like, wow. I said, Seladion, well done. Now, don't touch anything. And he said, okay, yes, Mom, we have this joke. At the end of the tunnel, there was a light. Yes, there was a light. At the end of the tunnel, there was this pulsing, vibrating, bluish white light. We were heading towards it. It took certain time because it's very big, very long. We could see on the side openings towards other rooms or structures. When we approached the light, it changed colors as we approached. It was more orangey pink. It was the plasmic being. It was him. We arrived closer to discover that there was a larger area. It was the heart of 3i Atlas, the beating heart of 3i Atlas. This being, this plasmic, blobby being, was resting in a huge giant sphere. I said it was about 30 feet wide in diameter. Immense for our human size. You could see it inside this transparent sphere that had a kind of a brownish, but transparent, glassy feel. But at the same time, it looked organic. Like, we didn't touch it, but it looked like if you would touch it, it would like wobble. And there was kind of a socket on the 1/3 of it, a bit more, that was like brownish, clear brown with a bit of pink color, that was holding the sphere. And this socket looked like done with biological material. And it had protuberances, like tendrils or tentacles, catching the walls and the structure around to maintain this sphere in the middle, floating. It was a vision none of us had seen before, not even here. Here you had a plasmic consciousness, means a consciousness, pure consciousness, embedded in a plasmic life form with a beating pulse. But this plasmic creature was resting in maybe his command chair, or I don't know. It was this biological structure made of biological material. And then I realized that it was merging with the rest of the structure of the ship. Because at that point, it fitted Jen Han's description of something organic of mono one shape that had like a network of organic material, but that looked at the same time crystalline, transparent, crystalline. It's very difficult to explain with human words. It was a life form I had never heard about or seen before. I was aware of this plasmic consciousness being floating in space, like jellyfish shape most of the time. That's a bit how it is. But enclosed in a biological shell, see it as a seashell. You have the creature inside and the shell that allows to transport the creature. And let's say, take a seashell or snail. You have the outside shell, stone hard, that is Triatlas stone vessel, and inside you have the creature, a biological creature. In Triatlas, it is the whole inside on the walls and the central heart, this wobbly sphere with the socket, biological socket like an eyelid, and the tendrils fusing into the ship. That's the biological creature. And this biological creature is inhabited by a soul. And what is this soul? It's the plasmic consciousness, the real being. Oh, it was. And we could see it pulsing in the sphere, 30 feet in the diameter. He was huge, he was magnificent. Jen Han started to cry. I could see his emotion on his face, re-interfacing with him. And I wish there was no zero gravity, because I would have gone and pat his arm, He was re-interfacing with the being. And he said to us, he's going to download into each of us knowledge that we will need for our personal missions. So we approached. We put all our hands there. Even Ia was moved. We didn't touch it with our hands when in the front of us like this, and we closed our eyes. And a big flash of light came into us, like stroboscopes, and I saw symbols and encoded signs and everything. He downloaded into our consciousnesses. Danaan told us that these messages, this information, would come out at a certain moment in our lives when we need it. And when we open our eyes, a bright, strong, powerful pulse wave came from the being who radiated beyond his shell. He was coming out, and he was there, and we all, wow, floated back, and the pure plasma was in front of us, and he sent this wave through the whole ship, and it lightened the whole ship, like lights on, switch on the lights. It was now as Jenhan had described it, this bright orange and pinky plasmic being just sending this wave of light, and the whole ship lightened in blue and white and a bit of pink sometimes, and we could see the neural network of crystalline biological matter. It was like crystal, but it was biological. It's very difficult to explain to you, but that's how it was. And we shared our love to him. We thanked him for having visited us and enlightened us, so many of us, for having brought the knowledge and the awareness that other life forms exist in this vast universe that are beyond anything a mind could comprehend. It was very emotional, and we floated back as if he was lighting up the way to us. To the shaft, we came up, dialogue closed. The pressure came back to vital requirements, and we took off our suits, went back to the cockpit, the command room, took place in our seats and took off. 3 Atlas released us on lock, and we were now in control of the command of the ship. Everybody was a bit stunned, by what had just happened. We went back to the Nibiru and said thank you to Ia, and also Shurani, my pilot, who had accompanied us from a distance with a fleet of shuttles from the Nibiru. Shurani said, "Hey, I'm coming with you." So she came with us to the XLR6 to debrief with us. We traveled back on the scout ship that had brought to the Nibiru Jor-El and the team. We traveled back to the XLR6, and there we were invited to Jor-El's quarters. It was great because I'd never been in his quarters. Well, but I thought I went there when I visited Ardana in 2021, and now he had her quarters above Thor Han's quarter. His quarters are bigger, and they are more like very organic architecture and lights in the walls moving. So cool, so cool. The fountain in the middle. You remember in We Will Never Let You Down, the book, I had a drawing of Ardana in her quarters, in her armchair near the fountain. Well, that was it. So we sat there in the couches. Seladion, Thor Han, Shuran, myself and Jenhan. And Jor-El was standing near the fountain, and we were talking about what we had just seen. debriefing, you know. And at one point we heard some bit of noise. Someone came from one of the rooms. It was Joel's wife. Her name is Shora. And she was just back from Alpha Centauri. She's seriously. And with their son. Because, so she came out of the room in a nightgown. Like crossed like this. And her hair were a bit like, and she was just waking up. And she said, oh my gosh, all these people. And Joel said, yeah, I'll introduce you my wife, Shora. She just arrived from Alpha Centauri. She's just tired. Our son is sleeping in the room there. And she said, oh yeah, I hate this station. I hate life on the station. She said, I'm living back home and visiting my husband times to times. And so she said, oh, Thor Han, yeah. She remembered, of course, Thor Han. She sees him very often when she visits her husband at work. And she said, oh, it's your brother, Jenhan. You look alike. So it's incredible. She turns to Celadia and said, who are you? Introduce himself. And then she looked at me and said, I know you. I said, yes, I'm the Earth emissary. Oh my gosh. She didn't say, oh my gosh, but she was, oh wow. And we held hands. And then she saw Shurani. She said, you're an Anar. I said, yes, Shurani is my Anar escort. And so Shurani introduced more of herself. And it was great to see Shurani relaxed, you know, not in a military work and situation. So Shora said, I really apologize. I need to go rest. I'm really tired. But it's nice to meet all of you. So enjoy your conversation and see you another time. So she went to the room and we started to talk a bit quieter. Then Joel said, let's go to the kitchen. You want to eat something? Fantastic. Yes. So we went to the kitchen and the kitchen. It was a rectangular room with a high ceiling. On one wall, there was a screen with like water, like a waterfall, but it was light, like a waterfall of light, of droplets of light coming down, and shelves in front of it, and you had kitchen elements, and at the center rectangular table with rounded angles. Clear gray, everything was clear gray color and like in one shape. And so Joel put his hand above pads that were on the table, like rectangular pads, like this, like when you put your plates, you know, but it was integrated. And every time he was hovering his hand, there was a seat coming from under, like a table stool coming from under, and like a bar stool. So we sat there, and Thor Han joined him to cook something. That's the life on station, you know. They're all friends, no matter the rank. They cook with each other. They go for a drink with each other. Oh, by the way, I had Oulad Blue, of course. We were served drinks. That was really good. I was very tired. It took, at that point, the whole trip took 8 hours. I was really tired at the end when it brought me back. Anyways, so what did we eat? So there was a replicator, but Joel used it to get some element and ingredients. I didn't really saw what they did. They mixed some different kind of mash of different colors. And they put it then in a device. I don't know if it was an oven or something. And it came out like not little breads. Yeah, I couldn't explain it better. And it was very tasty. It tasted sweet, really good. So we ate that with drinking our drinks and continuing talking about what we had seen. I had an information, Jen, I was sat next to Jen Han and talking about our projects we've done and the science experiments and everything. And I said, how the terraforming is going. And Jen Han said, oh yeah, we've found some aquifers, you know, and underground aquifers on Mars. There are a lot of water on Mars. There are underground lakes, so vast, very deep, but we found some at the surface, so we've activated them. We drilled and we brought the water outside where the riverbeds are, creating springs again, and it's going to help us speed up the change of atmosphere, creating rain. I was fascinated by this information. We kept on chatting and I was really feeling tired. Shurani was excited. She was so happy to be there. And I said, I'm sorry, I need to go back to Earth. I have things to do and I'm so tired. So Thor Han said, okay, I'm bringing you to the landing bay. I said goodbye to everyone and said to Jor-El, said hi again from me to your beautiful wife. And Shoran, see you on the Nibiru. Seladion, behave. Jen Han, contact soon for science exchange. And Admiral Jor-El, thank you for everything. I went out and Thor Han brought me back to the landing bay. We took a scout ship. He brought me back in the orbit of Earth and teleported me back home. And I went to bed with my head filled with incredible memories. 3A Atlas is leaving this star system. We are all bidding him good journey, farewell, for we will never come back twice in the same place. We thank him for the blessing of his presence and the knowledge and awareness he granted us all. Farewell, 3A Atlas.